Hello friends, over the years you've certainly heard me talk about beneficial bacteria and where it lives in the aquarium. And today I want to talk with you about beneficial bacteria, substrate, decor, and filter media. And let's get into that right now because it is a very important subject. It's beneficial bacteria that's going to determine whether your tank is going to be a place that fish can live in and thrive, or is it going to be a place where the fish are going to be struggling and having difficulty and be under a lot of stress. Reason being is that, of course, your fish produce waste that is proportionate to how much you're feeding them. They produce waste. Some fish produce more waste than others. Cichlids are notorious for just being waste factories. Of course, they eat a lot, so they require more food, in turn more waste. That waste turns into ammonia, and ammonia is deadly in an aquarium. Fortunately, there's a type of bacteria that will go ahead and convert that ammonia into a nitrite. Unfortunately, nitrite is also deadly. But there's another type of bacteria that will convert nitrite into nitrate. And nitrate is, except in very high levels, something the fish can tolerate and isn't as, anywhere nearly as deadly as nitrite and ammonia. So it's an important subject, and a lot of folks out there feel that beneficial bacteria needs an expensive multi-million-dollar downtown condominium to live in, and in the form of expensive media, when the truth is that it can pretty much live on anything it can attach itself to. That can be your decor, it can be plants, it can be artificial or real plants, and of course it can be the media in your filters and also the substrate. Now, based on what I've researched, and you do your own research, I tell everybody to take everything they hear on YouTube with a big grain of salt and do their own research. And always remember that what works for one person may not necessarily work for you. Different water coming out of the tap, different types of fish, different feeding habits, all kinds of moving parts, right? Like I'm fond of saying, it's a fluid situation. So, in my opinion, a deep substrate provides an excellent place for beneficial bacteria to live, to colonize, and to thrive. Reason being is that, especially if you're using sand, you don't mess with it much. You do a very light vacuuming over the surface, maybe disrupt an eighth or a quarter inch of it, right? Lightly rake it just to break some things up, and then scoop them up with your vacuuming, with your siphoning, and otherwise it's just left alone. So it's this perfect place for bacteria to really get going. And in the deeper parts of that substrate, where there is very little water circulation, the theory goes that you can get anaerobic bacteria, the kind of bacteria that can thrive without oxygen or without hardly any oxygen, and can consume or convert nitrates. In other words, it actually gets nitrates to convert and gas off. So, in my mind, deep substrate is a great way to go. And as you can see in this tank behind me, it's a pretty deep substrate here, and it gets deeper as you go further back in the aquarium. It progressively gets deeper and deeper until you get into a 4 to 6 inch depth in the substrate. Also, you're seeing it become very, very popular. Now, people are going exclusively with sponges. Sponges provide a tremendous amount of surface area. They provide circulation. When they get a little bit clogged, they'll provide less circulation, and in doing so, provide a good source of media for anaerobic bacteria. So sponges have become more and more popular as a less expensive, a more cost-effective alternative to the more expensive media options that are out there. If you're using expensive media, and I've certainly used it in the past, I've used Biohome, had great results with Biohome. I have some Matrix in one of my filters, some CChem Matrix. I have Sarah, some of the Sarah rings, phenomenal media. I mean, these are very, very researched media, very tried and true media. And but if I didn't have those, if I just didn't happen to come upon them or just have them on hand, I would have set up the filtration exclusively with sponges, and I feel that would have worked fine. I'm using very high quality sponges, the ones provided by Swiss Tropicals, but really the truth is that probably most sponges would do the job. So when you're going to start a new tank, if you have an established tank, pull out some media, right? Pull out some of the media from the prior tank, pull out some substrate, some decor, and usually I'll pull out about 50% of the water just for pH purposes. Transfer it over to the new tank. That may not be the decor that you want to ultimately end up with, but what you'll do is you'll be transferring over a very large amount of beneficial bacteria. Then add conditioned water to the new tank. Be sure it's conditioned, or else you'll kill off your the whole reason you brought over everything. You'll kill off that beneficial bacteria. So condition the water, add it to the new tank, and you should be really good to go with fish immediately. And because what you've done is you've essentially done a large water change, except it just happened to be on a new tank. Then try and match temperatures as best you can, and then bring over the fish and bring them, put them in, and you should be fine. You should be good to go, and have a tank up and running. You can also use things like bacteria in a bottle. I've used things like Fritzyme 7, Dr. Tim's, even CChem. I think it was a CChem Stability I used one time, and I had great results. The fish did fine. They survived well, and I didn't really seem to have any real stress. So just things to keep in mind. And when you're setting up a tank for the first time and you're outpricing media and you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed because to provide the media that you need, it's going to cost you $150 in the type of media that you're considering, consider using all sponges. I guarantee you, it's going to work. It's not going to be a problem. It's going to become seeded with bacteria. It'll become mature over time, and all you have to do is pull them out a few times a year, depending on your bio load and gallons per hour and your feeding habits, things of that nature. Pull them out a few times a year, rinse them in tank water if that helps you to feel a little bit more confident, and you're good to go. You're good to go. So anyway, just some thoughts I wanted to share with you, because I'm always harping on deep substrates, on beneficial bacteria, and it really is sort of the basic, the foundation of our hobby is understanding that nitrogen cycle and how to create an environment that is the most conducive to the fish thriving and being free of the stress that occurs when they're living in a situation that might include an occasional increase in ammonia or a nitrite. Very, very hard on fish, and more often than not, they don't survive it. So any questions, comments, go ahead and share them below. I'd love to hear. I'll always be learning. I'd love to hear what you have to say on this subject, and we can talk about this and a whole lot more on Saturday at the Cichlid and Coffee live stream. That's every Saturday at 11 a.m. Central. That's 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. And if you like the channel, be sure to subscribe and give the video a thumbs up and hit that notification bell. And if you'd like to support the channel further, consider becoming a member of the Garage Gang and become a Patreon supporter. Starts for as little as $3 a month. The details are under the video. Thank you, my friends. You're the best. See you soon. Bye-bye.